Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Richard, and welcome back to the weekly watch list video sponsored by MarketSmith. As always, we'll go through both the fundamentals and technicals of all the stocks on my focus list, and there weren't too many setups that I was really comfortable with this week. A lot of stuff is very extended at this time, but these are my best ideas for this upcoming trading week. So let's start with Fate. And if you do enjoy my analysis, please go ahead and leave a like down below. It really does help me out and my channel. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one every single week. So starting with Fate or Fate Therapeutics, you can see very strong sales growth the past few quarters. And overall, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable in 2020 or in 2021. The EPS rating is very poor at 17. Group RS is very strong, A-. SMA rating is a D, accumulation distribution, A+, and the overall composite rating is an 81. Overall, looking at the fund ownership, you can see an increasing trend over the past 2 years, and you do have one high-quality fund invested into this company. And looking at the chart, you can see that this stock is in a strong uptrend, and this is a potential power play. And overall, I'm looking for a breakout through this high on above average volume. And you can see the RS rating is 98, and the overall RS line is right near all-time highs. So as I said, the overall pivot that I'm looking for is a breakout through 103.66 on above average volume. Next up, we've got FCX, and overall, you can see great earnings growth this past quarter, up 999%. Sales were up 22%, and after-tax margins were up 11.2%. And looking at the EPS estimates, you can see in 2020, it's supposed to be up 999%, and in 2021, a further 305%, with the revisions up as well. The overall EPS rating is decent at 75, Group RS is A+, SMA rating is a D, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, although it is very gradual. And you do have one high-quality fund, the Contra Fund, invested into this company. And overall, looking at the chart, you can see it's trending well above all those key moving averages. And what I'm looking for is a breakout through that 25.43 pivot on above average volume. And going to the chart in TC2000, I actually want to see a breakout through this high, which is at 25.25, so a little bit before this pivot right here. Moving on, we've got our next stock, which is Frog, and this is from the previous watch list, but we did have a squat on this past Friday. And overall, you can see decent revenue growth the past 4 quarters. And looking at the annual EPS estimates, you can see it's actually down for 2021, down 62%. All the revisions are up. The EPS rating is very poor at 21. Group RS is a C+, SMA rating is a C, and accumulation distribution is a B-, and the overall composite rating is a 19. Overall, you've already got 162 funds invested into this recent IPO, and a whole bunch of high-quality funds invested into it as well. And overall, it's still in this kind of IPO due diligence phase, so keep that in mind. But there are signs of a potential uptrend with a lot of large up volume days very recently. So as for the entry setup, what I'm looking for is a breakout above this high right here, actually this high at 69.03 on above average volume. And if it opens within this wick, you could also use this high right here as your pivot point as well. Moving on, we've got our next stock and our first semiconductor equipment group stock, which there's a lot of them setting up this week, and this is LRCX. Overall, very strong earnings and sales the past few quarters. You got acceleration in earnings, sales, and also margins, which is always good to see. Last quarter earnings up 78%, sales up 47%, and after-tax margins up 26.3%. And overall, looking at the estimates, you can see in 2022, it's supposed to be up a further 12%, and the revisions are up as well. The EPS rating is very strong at 96, Group RS is a B+, SMA rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B-, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And look at the fund ownership, you can see an increase over the past 2 years, and you have 5 high-quality funds in there as well. And looking at the chart, you can see it's moved up well from the stage 1B cup with handle all the way up to 516.65. It now has pulled back in a nice way to the 21 EMA. So as for the entry setup, what I'm looking to see is either a breakout above this high right here at 480.79, and this is a more kind of short-term entry pivot, or a breakout above the high of the week, which was at 484.71. Moving on, we've got MED or Medifast Inc. And overall, you can see nice earnings this past quarter, up 120%. Sales were up 43%, and after-tax margins were up 12.7%. And looking at the estimates, you can see in 2021, it's supposed to be up 15%. All the revisions are down. The EPS rating is a 97, Group RS is a C minus, SM rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B, and the overall composite rating is a 98. And look at the fund ownership, you can see it's pretty much flat over the past 2 years, and you do not have any high quality funds invested into this stock. And as for the chart, you can see it's moved up from the stage 1 cup with handle with a standard pivot of 179.04, and is now consolidated and found support at the 21 EMA, is now setting up a short-term pivot at around this level right here. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a breakout through that level, which is from this high at 203.2. So that is MED. And next up, we've got Micron Technology. And overall, you can see great earnings this past quarter. Earnings were up 93%, sales up 24%, and after-tax margins up 20.3%. And looking at the annual EPS estimates, you can see in 2022, it's supposed to grow 90% with the revisions up as well. That's very strong. The EPS rating is a 90, Group RS is a B minus, SM rating is a C, accumulation distribution is an A minus, and the overall composite rating is a 92. And look at the fund ownership, you can see an increase over the past 2 years and one high quality fund in there as well. And you can see that's broken out from the stage 1 cup with handle, moved up all the way to 74.61. Now it's pulled back to around 70 and near the 21 EMA. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a breakout above the prior high at 71.06 on above average volume, or you could also use the high of the week as another pivot, and that is at 71.78. So moving on to the next stock, we've got NARI, and overall you can see very strong earnings this past quarter and strong revenue growth the past 4 quarters. Last quarter earnings up 999%, sales up 172%, and after-tax margins up 16.8%. However, if you go ahead and look at the estimates, you can see in 2021, it's not supposed to be profitable, and the revisions are down as well. The EPS rating is only a 31, the Group RS is a B, SM rating is a C, accumulation distribution B+, and the overall composite rating is a 74. And look at the fund ownership, you can see there's 187 funds owning this stock, and you have 3 high-quality funds in there as well. And if we look at the chart, you can see it's within the stage 1 consolidation, and this is a potential green line breakout using the standard pivot of 84.91. And overall, it would be very constructive if it forms a little bit of a handle. I'll draw that in right here, and then breaks out. That would be ideal, but it could just break out next week. So as for the entry setup, what I'm looking for is a breakout through this line, this high right here at 84.91, or this standard green line pivot, which is also 84.91. And overall, looking at the chart, you can see this is a very constructive base. You have great volume coming in recently during this uptrend, and overall it looks very, very strong. Moving on, we've got our next stock in NIO, and overall you can see very strong revenue growth the past 2 quarters, up over 100%, but you can see it's not supposed to be profitable in 2020 or in 2021. The EPS rating is a 56, the Group RS is an A+, the SM rating is a D, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall composite rating is a 94. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend over the past 2 years, very explosive here, but you do not have any high quality funds invested into this stock. And looking at the chart, you can see it's moved up quite a bit this year and is now potentially setting up again against the 21 EMA with the RS line basing along with the price and the overall RS rating as strong 99. So as for the entry setup, what I'm looking for is a breakout above this high at 49.84 on above average volume. And I like how this pullback this past week was on low volume. And within this space, there has been kind of a decrease in volume overall, which is very constructive. So moving on, we've got our next stock in PLTR. And overall, you can see very strong revenue growth the past few quarters, up at about 40-50%. And you can see in 2021, the earnings are supposed to increase 71% with the revisions up as well. The EPS rating is very poor at 12. The Group RS is C+. The SM rating is a D. Accumulation distribution is an A. And the overall composite rating is a 60. Looking at the fund ownership, you can see there's 76 funds in this stock and no high quality funds just yet. And as for the chart, you can see it's moved up quite well from the stage 1 IPO base, then formed a potential VCP and broke out this past week, but is now potentially setting up another pivot right there. So as for the entry setup, as I said, I want to see a breakout above this high of 29.42 on above average volume, and I would add to my position at that time. Next up, we've got RXT, and overall looking at the earnings and sales, you can see nice growth the past few quarters. Last quarter earnings up 50%, sales up 13%, and after-tax margins up 5.3%. And looking at the estimates, you can see in 2021, earnings are supposed to increase 43%, and overall the EPS rating is a 73, the Group RS is a C+, the SM rating is a C, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall comms rating is a 71. And looking at the fund ownership, 142 funds are in the stock as of now, and no high-quality funds just yet. And looking at the chart, you can see it's forming this large cup with handle with a standard pivot of 2115. The RS rating is very poor at 45, but the RS line is relatively close to all-time highs as it forms this base right here. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a breakout above this high right here at 20.55 on above average volume. You can see it pretty much consolidated this past week with a bunch of inside days in a row. And then eventually I also want to see a breakout on above average volume above that standard pivot of 2115. So last on the list, we've got Upwork, and overall you can see very strong earnings this past quarter, up 300%, sales up 24%, and after-tax margins up 5.1%. Looking at the annual EPS estimates, you can see it's just supposed to be profitable in 2021, and overall the EPS rating is very poor at 38. Group RS rating is a B, SMR rating is a C, accumulation distribution is an A+, and the overall comms rating is an 87. And overall, you've got an increasing trend in the number of funds and one high-quality fund in the stock as well. And looking at the chart, you can see a huge earnings gap up on large volume, a sign of institutional buying, then a pullback to 21 EMA, and now a pullback on lower volume this previous week. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a move up off this 10-day moving average, or potentially a bounce off the pivot at 36.66 or the 21 EMA on above average volume. So that's my plan for Upwork, and overall my top 3 setups for this week are a breakout of Fate above this pivot right here, a breakout of MU or one of the other semiconductor stocks, and also an add for PLTR through this high at 29.42. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in future videos.